Hey there, mattphilleo in my studio working on a drawing. This is going to be a sketch for a friend who lost her friend. So a memoriam drawing to help comfort the family members. And I'm going to be attempting to do this within 30 minutes or less. So a 30-minute sketch. Today I'm going to be using charcoal, a little bit darker than graphite and a little bolder. So I'm just going to ask a quick blessing and I'm going to get started. Father, bless this portrait, and I pray it would be an encouragement to the family that lost this man. I don't know who he is, Lord, but you know who he is. I pray you bless that family in Jesus' name and help me to draw this excellently to capture his likeness. Amen. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is start establishing some of the outlines. Establish the outlines. And try to get the overall shape here of his hat and his face. Maybe we can capture some of the shading in here as well, but this will be done relatively quickly, so it's going to be somewhat rough, but we'll see what we can capture here within 30 minutes. Alright, I'm going to work on the eyes now and just start to block in the shapes overall. Try to get the overall proportions of where things are located. The overall structure and spacing of the eyes, which is important. The overall shape of the eyes. Now, paying attention to his eyelids, they're a little more prominent than some, so it's important to get that aspect. And then the shape of his nose bridge, that's all very important as well. Here we're kind of have a below looking up angle, so we're seeing more of the nostrils as we're looking up at his face. Alright, so now the shape of the mouth. And I believe this is a Native American man, so he's going to have some stronger features in that regard. A little broader smile than a Caucasian would. Now we have the nasolabial fold. I want to capture that. That area where the mouth meets the rest of the face. Alright, then we have his chin and his beard hair. So I'm just kind of establishing the overall structure here of the face. Now my camera literally only had 30 minutes of recording time on it, so if it cuts me off abruptly, that's the reason why. But that'll keep me literally to the time frame, like I say, of just 30 minutes or less. Alright, so now I'm establishing the rest of the face, and because this is kind of at a worm's eye view looking up into the face, I have to remember the features recede as we go up towards the top, so his face gets substantially smaller than it otherwise would on the top. He's wearing this hat, and I want to get the overall shape of that in. This is charcoal pencil. It's a little harder to erase, but it's also a little bit bolder, so it makes some good strokes, and it gives the drawing a lot of character, especially for a quick sketch. I'm working on the cheek area, the wrinkles below the eyes, these concentric eyelid folds as they're called. And then there's a crease coming down from that I want to capture. It's got a little bit of hair just flowing out from the hat on the right side. Use my kneaded eraser here just to erase around a little bit. What I like about kneaded erasers is you can tear off any piece you want. They're just like clay, and they don't leave those little eraser crumbs behind and make it really difficult for drawing. You have to try to wipe them off your surface. Okay, now I want to get some of the texture of his eyebrows in. So the eyebrows are a little darker in this spot up here directly above the eyes. They kind of fan out from there. And then we have these creases. We have these creases here. And I do apologize for the background fan noise. I have a blower here for my studio blowing in wood heat from the outside. So that's what you're hearing. I'm trying to talk above that. Hopefully in the midst of the noise you can still hear me okay. But anyway, you get the overall shape here of the eyes. And then there's some shading in here. I'd like to quickly capture that. Now, some of the shading here for the nasolabial fold, and get some contrast established around his nose. Going to take some shading here to do that. Use kind of a cross-hatching method to get some of that shading in. And actually we'll hold the pencil on its side just a bit so get a little more mileage out of it. Okay, now there's some shading on the forehead that I want to capture coming from the hat. We have kind of an interior light on his head shining from the top down. Let's darken his eyes a little bit since I added shadows to everything else. Darken this area too on the eyelids. And accentuate the folds as well. And the nostrils will accentuate them. We have some shading on the nose itself, the nose structure that I want to capture. See, I'm just kind of seeing that overall shape, where the shading resides. Now there would be some shading coming down from the nose. Capture that. We've got the lips. I'm going to darken the crease in between them. Add a shadow in. Add a shadow here, accentuating the edge of the lip. And then also some shading underneath. Shading underneath the lip as well. Now I'm going to come in with some shading on the side. Sharpen that pencil a little bit. Get some directional strokes. Now we have some shading going on here in the forehead that we're going to try to capture really quickly. These vertical forehead furrows here, I want to darken them. Those would be the kind of frown or wrinkles that we have when you squint. Get some shading going here on the nasolabial folds. And then here on this nasolabial fold going into the cheek area, we want to have a very strong shape there. Really capture that as best we can. Get some of the architecture of the mustache area, these hairs going down, kind of flow out a little bit. And also some of this shading here on the side. We're trying to get the accurate form as best we can, and some of the shading as well. You'll find that charcoal is not quite as forgiving, doesn't erase as easily, and it sure smears like crazy, but it does leave a good dark mark, much darker than graphite. And you can go on top with graphite as well to do some more finer shading if you feel you need to do that. I'm going to stick with the graphite as long as I can. Get some of the flowing here. Now, let's see. Oh, I think I'll still stick with this pencil. I'm going to get some of the shading on his hat. Just go like this. Start to get some of the directional strokes as well. Some of the directional strokes as well. Here we're just showing the thickness then of the hat. Okay, and we got a few little directional strokes going this way, showing the overall texture of the hat as it curls in. Got the top right here. Now we want to situate his head on something so we have part of his shoulder. Now this picture looks like it's zoomed in, but that actually is the picture that I have here. It does not get any farther away than that. So I'm just going to have to kind of invent what the rest of his shoulder might look like. Looks like he's maybe wearing some sort of a hoodie, I can't tell. But we can see his shoulder goes down a little bit lower on this side, like that. And then we have the beard flowing out from there. And maybe I could use some graphite to suggest the beard. Now we just have a graphite stick, a graphite block that I'm using on its side, which covers the distance pretty well. You can go on top with graphite, but it's really hard to take charcoal on top of graphite. So graphite on top of charcoal, but not charcoal on top of graphite. It's a lot harder. I'm going to add some of the graphite on top of this and just go over to kind of smooth in some of the shading a little bit more, fill it in a bit. I can take my kneaded eraser and hopefully erase that highlight on his nose so that stands out a bit more as it ought to. Try to get the shape emphasized a little stronger here. Again, that shape of the eyelid, we really want to reiterate that as well. Alright, now we're going to get some of the architecture of the eyebrow on the right side of his face, some of the crow's feet wrinkles, get that emphasized a little bit as well. Take some of the charcoal, or I'm sorry, the graphite stick, and just go over it with that. Here we're going to really darken the top end with the graphite, as dark as we can get it, just to get it a little darker than the rest of the face. And I'm going to take some tissue and start to blend this in a little bit. Just start to blend it in and erase around it. Now the rest of the face, do a little more blending, but I need to get the detail a little bit more as well. Just a little more of the shape here of the nose. the other side. And a little more of a crease between his lips. Darkness of the eyes, shape of the eyeballs. Looking at all those different things here. Shade this area a little bit. Just using the tissue to kind of blend that. And we want to go back over it with a little more pencil and just redefine some of the areas that got obscured as we used the tissue to blend it. Just strengthen some of the values a little bit more. But what the tissue does is it just tightens up the lines on the cross hatching on the shading a little bit. Then you just go back in and shade it a little bit more. All right. Bring out that shading a little bit more on his chin. Now, so you can go back in with the eraser and actually add some highlights as you work out of whatever shading you had. All right, and I see that the lips need to come up a little higher as I step back a bit, just to see the overall shape. The lips need to come up a little bit higher. Just try to make them not quite as pursed. Coming with a little bit of a highlight. Again, get that overall shape of the mustache hairs. I'll bring them down just a little lower. I guess it's a balancing act. Definitely you want to get that distance right. With a quick sketch like this, you can't get a perfect likeness, but you just try to do the best you can within the time constraints that you have. All right. Take some graphite again and work on the beard. And then we'll shade in some of his clothing a little bit. Try to get some of the shape of the beard hairs as much as we can. Blend it a little bit. darken the edges of his neck and chin area. Redefine the edge of his hat a little bit more. And the shading. Shading on top of or separating the shadow part of the hat from the top of it. Some of these striations here going into the hat area, we want to separate that, keeping in mind that the angles change a little bit. Blend this a little. Shadow coming from the top of the hat. Got the hair. And we're going to re-emphasize those eyes because that's really important. And this nasolabial fold, want to re-emphasize that. And the edges of the mouth a little bit more. Looks like too, we got a little more, a stronger shadow coming from the bottom of the lip. I want to just emphasize that a bit more. And I'm not sure what this is, we'll just think that's part of the jacket he's wearing. Alright, now we're going to erase around his head a little bit, some of the smearing, get rid of that. So the hair, get that in there a little bit more. Now let's re-emphasize some of these highlights. Just with the eraser, we'll go on top and erase away on the cheek, the nose, a little bit on the side. And let's get just a little bit of a gradient here on the cheek area by erasing into it. That makes it look a little more gradual. Re-emphasize the shape of the nose a bit more. And this area of the mustache, just re-emphasize that. A little bit of a highlight here I'm going to erase away, just to look like there's some hairs that are catching the light a bit. And I think we are going to be done in just a couple minutes. Just a couple minutes here. Let's just emphasize the edge of his hat. Go and erase some of those smears again. this a finished portrait. All right, and here we have a finished portrait. As you can see, very rough, but it does convey the likeness of the subject. And this is an exercise you can do to freshen up your acrylic portrait painting skills. Any painting is only as good as a drawing underneath. Even if you paint without a sketch, fundamental drawing skills will drastically improve your ability to paint a portrait. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That way this will be seen by more people. And comment below. Let me know if you thought this was helpful or if I could improve it in any way. I'd love to talk with you and hear your thoughts. But anyway, subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. And then be sure to visit me at realisticacrylic.com. I have several tutorials there that'll be of more help to you in your portrait painting. So thank you so much for watching. God bless. We'll see you in the next video.